Today's episode is an interview with Dr. Asha Pai Bohannon. She's a pharmacist, entrepreneur, author, and business coach. Some pharmacists are looking for a way to leave their current job and try something else. Dr. Asha and I are ringing in the new year with a conversation about how she and her husband Eric help pharmacists find their passion and purpose so they can make the impact they want to make. You're listening to the Pharmacist Voice podcast, a journey-style podcast about my career change from pharmacist to voice actor. I'm your host, Kim Newlove. I alternate solo shows and interview shows. The solo shows are about my career change, and the interview shows feature a variety of people who use their voices to advocate, educate, or entertain. I specialize in medical narration and e-learning. If you have a project in mind, contact me through my website, thepharmacistvoice.com. Thank you for joining me for episode 77. Let me tell you a little more about my guest, then we'll dive right into our interview. Dr. Asha was my guest on episode 9 of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. She's my first second-time guest. She and I met at the first ever Medipreneurs Conference in April 2018. It's a conference for healthcare entrepreneurs, if you haven't heard of it. I love the supportive community I found there, and I would recommend it to any potential or current healthcare entrepreneurs. I'll put a link to Medipreneurs in the show notes if you want to check that out. Dr. Asha spent 20 years in retail pharmacy feeling like she was feeding people's illnesses, which caused stress and led to job burnout. She wanted to make a difference in the healthcare world and started her own successful, holistic wellness practice. Then she realized her passion went much further. She wanted to help other pharmacists do the exact same thing, find their own passion and purpose to be able to make the impact they wish to make in the world. To learn more about Dr. Asha, visit ashapaibohannon.com. That's ASHAPAIBOHANNON.com, ashapaibohannon.com. You can find both her books on Amazon.com. The newest one, which we'll be talking about on the podcast today, is called Impact Pharmacist. Start your own wellness practice and leave your retail pharmacy job behind. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Dr. Asha Pai Bohannon. Welcome to the Pharmacist Voice podcast, Asha. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on again, Kim. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. I know we were all excited for 2021 to get here, so Happy New Year's to everyone out there listening.
Yes. This is going to be a better year for a lot of pharmacists because you're going to be on the show today telling them how they can start their own wellness practice and leave their retail pharmacy job behind, right?
Exactly. It's become my number one passion and focus to help other pharmacists really just pursue their passion and their purpose in life.
Asha, I know you know a thing or two about being a pharmacist in the retail space and then building your own wellness practice. And now you're helping other people build their own. Can you tell me your story? How'd you go from retail pharmacist to wellness practice and coach?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that, Kim. So yes, I spent almost about 20 years in the retail pharmacy setting. And during most of that time, I really started to get burnt out and feeling like I was feeding people's illnesses versus helping them get and stay well. And for me, I know my dream when I came out of pharmacy school, which I think a lot of us can relate to, is I wanted to be more clinical and I wanted to make more of an impact in people's healthcare and their world. And I just never felt like I could get that sense or that feeling in retail pharmacy. And so as years went on, and it actually started to impact my own health and wellness because I was getting so burnt out, so stressed out, I started to really look at what I wanted to do with my life and what I wanted to be when I grew up, so to speak, right? And I was not in that place. And so I started exploring some other things. I'm also a certified diabetes educator. And I wanted to really focus on that. And so that's when I started, after having kids and wanting to be at home more and more accessible to them as they were growing up, I decided that I was going to jump out and just give my own wellness practice a try. and had no idea what that was going to be like. I had never really been an entrepreneur before. But I worked alongside my husband, Eric, to really get my practice off to a running start, because I knew that I didn't have the business acumen. From our years in pharmacy school, we weren't really taught all of those types of things. We were taught kind of basics.
So true.
Yeah. And so we worked together. Eric he has his MBA, and he works to bring service-based organizations for large Fortune 50 companies to the marketplace. And so he helped me do just that. I created the clinical aspects. I worked on the mindset of entrepreneurship, worked on systems and processes. That's kind of all my wheelhouse. And then he helped me with all the business pieces to owning your own business. I started that about 3 years ago, fell in love, was so happy to be my own boss on my own terms, literally starting to live the type of life that I had always wanted to live, personally, and then also professionally, helping people, like I said, get and stay well. And then, you and I met at this awesome conference, the Medipreneurs Conference, where we were starting to meet other pharmacists that wanted to think outside the box. And I was about a year and a half into my practice, and I had written a book called To Medicate or Not, That Is the Question. And just really started to, over time, think about, how can I help other pharmacists do what I've done? Because that has truly, like I said at the beginning, become my mission and my passion, is to really help other pharmacists not get stressed out, not get burned out, not lose their own health and wellness over doing something that they feel like they have to be doing or should be doing. And really getting down to, what are they passionate about? What is their purpose? And how can they make this a greater impact in the world? So that's where the business coaching and consulting came in.
Very good. I remember at the Medipreneurs Conference, I don't know if it was the first time, the second time, or both, but they had this choose your own adventure piece. Do you remember that? I think it was on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What you would do is go around the room and learn about forming an LLC,
Mm-hmm.
or branding, or marketing, or insurance, all these different things that a business owner needs to know about,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't necessarily in a chronological order that they need to be thought about. And if you could, I'd love for you to talk about how in your book you address that.
Absolutely. So once Eric and I kind of partnered on this to really help other pharmacists do it, we did write a book. So it is called The Impact Pharmacist. And I wanted to share that because we wanted to share with people the right order in which to do this, because I had jumped into some things. Of course, I don't know what it is about not asking your own husband for advice, but I jumped into some things prior to starting this practice 3 years ago on my own, thinking, oh, I can do this. This is not a problem. Obviously, we're all intelligent as pharmacists and we can do things. But it wasn't a matter of could I do them? It was a matter of, do I want to do them, and how good am I at doing those things? And I did all the things wrong at the beginning. Did all the things wrong. I did things in the wrong order. And I wasn't as successful as I know that I could have been. And that it wasn't until I actually partnered with him and we did things in the order that we wrote the book. So the way I created my practice is the exact same way we wrote the book. And so it's important to know that the chronology of doing this sets you up for success. Yes, you are going to make mistakes along the way. And I think we talk about this in the book, but we like to fail fast, but learn fast is the way we call it. So it's not about failing. It's about learning from whatever it is that's happened to you. So it's about learning fast and then picking up and moving and going and going and going until we get to the right place. And so we are there to kind of help you learn fast and learn the right order and be more risk avoiders. Because this is something that Eric says all the time is entrepreneurship. Most successful entrepreneurs are not risk takers. You think that they are. They're actually risk avoiders, right? So because they know what things to do to try to avoid the pitfalls of becoming an entrepreneur. And so that's what we wanted to share with you in this book in particular. So
awesome. Now, I know that you help people who are brand new, fresh, just have an idea, and they've never started their business. But then it sounds like in that comment you just made, you also help people who started a business and maybe didn't do things in the right order. And like you said, in some way kind of failed fast and got to a point where they needed help. You also help people who are already on their journey, right? So it's in either group, right?
Either group, yeah, absolutely. So we run the spectrum on the clients that we've helped or are currently helping, and we have people that come in and say, "Hey, I know that I want to get out of my pharmacy job, mostly retail pharmacy. I'll just be honest, but we've had others in different avenues of pharmacy." But they just say, "Hey, I know that I want to get out. I know I want to start a practice, but I have no idea what I want to do, how I want to do it." And so we start there. We start with idea conception, right? And then we do have several people who actually are just getting ready to work with somebody who has got a very set out practice, but she has done things in different orders. And so she doesn't feel like she's quite able to make the impact that she wants to make and that she could be making had she followed a certain formula, so to speak. And so as pharmacists, you know that we love our formulas and we love following things in the right order.
Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly what we do in this program. So we're very meticulous about making sure that we've got things in the right order. And working with us, we have a couple different ways to do that, Kim. One is we work one-on-one with our clients, and we do have a one-on-one consulting program, coaching program. It's where we actually take a lot of the heavy lifting off of your plate, because I know firsthand that as a pharmacist, if you're working full-time, even if you're working part-time, if you're a mom with children, you're a dad with children, like you got a million other things going on your plate. And the whole purpose of doing this is to really give back your life and your time. And so it's difficult to start something like this on your own and go out and do all the moving parts. And so we want to take a lot of that heavy lifting off, because this is our expertise. We've been doing it for a long time, and we want to make sure that you're doing it to the best of your ability. So we walk this journey alongside of you to take the heavy lifting off. So Eric does a lot of the business parts of this, and then we walk through it and talk through it with you as the client, right? So that's one way. And then coming soon, in just about another month, we will have an online version that people can access with that's way more robust than our book. So you can absolutely go check out our book on Amazon. And we've got the different Kindle, the paperback, and then coming soon, we have an audiobook by none other than Kim Newlove.
All right. Woo.
But the next portion would be the online program. And that is a more robust program where you get classes, and we actually walk through a lot of this with you. We give you all the handouts, the homework, so to speak, and you have access to all of that online, so you can actually know the order and go through it a little bit more in detail with us on video. So that's coming soon in the next month or so.
Awesome. Congratulations on all the success, a book, an online course. I know you're going to let me narrate your audiobook. Thank you for choosing me as your narrator. I'm excited about that. And one of the things I want to focus on is the piece that Eric brings in, because as you mentioned, you're a former retail pharmacist. You are currently a wellness practice owner, and you are helping others develop their wellness practice. But you've brought in Eric. And in the book, which I've read, I noticed that he helps identify markets and helps with the niching down part. And a lot of pharmacists say, I want to do something else. That's a huge theme that I hear in my podcast with my guests that come on. They say, I did this, and a lot of people want to do it too, and this is how they would do it. And I think that's so generous for them to share that. Mm-hmm. But for a non-pharmacist to come in, somebody with an MBA who's a marketing strategist, is that what Eric is?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. He helps somebody find that thing that they want to do. I know you and he as a team help them find that thing that they want to do. But that's huge, because everybody says, I want to do something else, but they don't necessarily know what it is, or will it be profitable? Are there enough people out there to buy it? And that is one of the huge things you guys address. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the niching down part it's definitely a combo combination platter there because I do a lot of the asking the questions. That's one of my my strengths, so to speak, is I love to really dig down deep. So I ask all the questions, and I typically can pinpoint listening to somebody. I love now using Zoom all the time because I can see something. I can see a twinkle in somebody's eye when they talk about underwater basket weaving or whatever it is that they want to do. And I can pick that out. And then we kind of delve a little deeper. And so then he's there to kind of like, okay, he does the like you said, the market analysis. So he says it, and this is written in the book. He says it way more eloquently than this, but I will give you my pharmacist high level version of what he says. There are different things that you want to look for. You want to make sure that you have a niche that is somebody's looking for, right? So that you've got an audience for. So you've got to know what that is. You also need to find out who that target market or audience is and really speak to them when you're doing this. And then you also want to look at what your pricing is. So you don't want to underprice yourself. So you're making a whole lot of money, but you're not making any profit for it because you're spitting it out so much and you're not getting enough of what you're valued, which is, I'm going to say, the number one problem pharmacists have is we don't ever ask for what we're valued for, right? Or the knowledge that we bring to the table. And then the other side to that, the flip side of that is asking for too much and overpricing yourself that you only get a few people. You may make a lot of profit, but you're not making enough revenue, so to speak, okay? And then the last and final thing is your messaging. A lot of us pharmacists, I don't know about you, but I've never been a salesperson prior to any of this, right? So getting that sales background, and I've been in the sales world for the last 9 years. And so a lot of what I bring to the table in this, we work together. He does the marketing piece, the marketing messaging, and then I work on the actual sales messaging. So when you're out trying to talk to clients and or prospective clients, how to do all of that. And so we put all of this together because those are the aspects that you really want to be working on as you are putting a viable, successful business together. So that's where he comes in. He does all the, like you said, the market analysis, the competitive analysis, a lot about profit and loss and how many hours, the minimum viable product that you would need, how many hours you're putting in, how to get paid what you're worth. All of those things that, I'll be honest, I know about it. I know enough to be dangerous, I think, but I didn't know enough to actually be able to put it into play. Because like I said, I started things without asking him beforehand. And I fell into almost every single one of those pitfalls and wasn't as successful as I would have liked to have been. My theory is too, like if you're helping one person, you're helping somebody, right? That is great. But what is the impact? There's a whole point of what we're trying to do is making that impact ripple effect that you can make. And in order to do that, you really want to do this in the right way.
I love that you just brought up the ripple effect because that's such a powerful image on your cover artwork. You have an actual splash and there's ripples coming out. Mm-hmm. And if you do things the right way, then it affects the next step and the next step. Mm-hmm. I think you guys are doing great. Everybody out there that is wanting to leave their retail pharmacy job is looking for something that might work for them. And I know this is going to put you on the spot, but what makes your course different and what makes your book different? What makes what you do different?
Well, there's several things I'll share. Yeah, it just put me on the spot, Kim, but that's okay. So I will say this, you've got a combination of the best of both worlds. If you are a pharmacist, you would be working with me, who I've been there, done that. Everything about pharmacy I have done. I've graduated many moons ago. And so I've been there and I know what you're going through. And I've been a part of what I call the golden handcuffs, right? We've been there where we need to make this great paycheck that we were told that we're going to make. And I don't know how great they are anymore, honestly, with our economy and how things are going, but I've been there. And so you're getting that piece of it. And I will tell you that I've always been, probably since I was a 12-year-old in pigtails, have been a personal and professional development junkie, so to speak. And I have learned a lot about mindset and what it takes and how to get out of your own way to get what you want. And then, like I said, the sales background. So I've had 9 years of sales that a lot of us don't have experience in because, hey, we're giving people what they've already been told to take. So there's not really a selling piece to that, in my opinion. So that's the piece that I bring to the table. And then I've joined forces with, I think, the other really massive piece to becoming an entrepreneur is knowing the business side of things. And so to join forces with Eric and have him come in and walk along this journey with you to really give you the pieces that you need that we are not necessarily skilled for. Like I said, I will reiterate, we can go out and learn all we want, but I'm going to tell you something, Kim. I think this is kind of funny, and I share this with a lot of people, is for some reason, pharmacists, we feel like when we don't know something, it's time to get another certification. Okay.
I have heard that before. Yeah.
And I was one of those. I will be honest. It's like we feel like, okay, but the certification has nothing to do. It's all more knowledge-based as far as healthcare and health and wellness. It's not going to get you to a business part or a business, a viable business. So it's still not giving you what you need to be able to go out and start this new business. You might get some more extra knowledge and all that great stuff. And I just feel like we always feel like we're lacking in that, but we're not. We all have the same letters after our name that give us what we need to be valuable and knowledgeable for the patients and clients that we're helping. It's the other piece of starting the business, getting it up and running, marketing it in the right order, in the right way. That's where Eric comes in, and we do things hand in hand. So that is what I feel like makes a big difference. I don't ever like to compare to other people. So that's what I feel like we bring to the table, is this kind of joined forces of the clinical, the mindset piece. I'm a big organizer, systems and processes. How do you automate things? Like those kinds of things I'm all about. And then this business side where we are checking off all the boxes to make sure this is going to be a viable, successful business for you.
Great answer. Great answer. Now, what if you get somebody who's currently in their retail pharmacy job and they want to leave? Can they immediately leave and replace that income today by going through your program and building a business?
That is a really great question. It's hard for me to blanketly answer that. Is it possible? Anything's possible. The idea that we want you to be as successful as you can be, making the biggest impact that you can possibly make. But everybody's life situations are different. So I always like to tell people, and I think anybody knows this, is as much time as you put into it, you will get back out, right? You'll get the value back out of it. But if you are a full-time working retail pharmacy, 12-hour shifts, you've got kids at home, how much can you put into it? That's the key. And that's what Eric actually works with you on. So we talk through real life things. We're like, okay, so what is the amount of time that you're going to get through be able to do in working this business? Okay, so we work on that. We look at the amount of time, and that's how we price out your value as well, is how much time are you going to put into this? And then he does even modeling. He does forecast modeling. So he's like, okay, if you put 40 hours a week, like you were going to work a full-time job, or then some, and for those that work 60, 70 hours a week at their retail pharmacy job, if you were able to go and put this into your business, your new wellness practice, this is where you could end up pricing it this way. And I think that's so important. And so it is totally possible to replace pharmacy income. But it's very individualistic, because it's how much can you put into this? Does that make sense? So we have people that we worked with that are now doing this full time, and this is their thing. We have people that are like, I'm still eking out of what I'm doing, but that's what I had to do. I actually, when I started all of this, I eked out of my retail pharmacy job. So I went from being full-time, super full-time store manager, to just being 40-hour week staff pharmacist, to then part-time, weekends, now nothing, right? So but that was what I needed to do for me, my situation, my family. So it's very individualistic, but that's what we work with you on, is what are you able to do? What are you wanting it to do? Because that's the other thing, is some people just want a really great side business that they want to feel more fulfilled in their life for, but they still love their job. I have plenty of pharmacists that are maybe like in long-term care that love their job, or even retail, there are some people that still really love retail. So I'm not trying to completely knock out retail. We still need all of you amazing first line workers right now. So I am not knocking that at all. It wasn't for me. And if you love your job, but you still want a very meaningful, impactful, in a different way, pharmacy-based wellness practice, you can absolutely have that. Nothing says that you have to give up what you're doing. And that's kind of where that comes in. So you can do full-time, you can leave your pharmacy job, or you can stay there and do this on the side for fun to fulfill whatever it is that you want to fulfill.
That was a tough question I asked you. You did a beautiful job answering it, because a lot of people want to immediately replace that income. They want to go from 6 figures to 6 figures. And I think what I heard you just saying is you do a reality check. You talk about all the different things that need to go into building a wellness practice. It's not a snap your fingers, change from one to the next. And pharmacists are smart. We all know this for the most part. But I just wanted to make sure to put it out there to anybody listening that Asha's got a good head on her shoulders. She's not going to tell you, she's not going to guarantee you're going to switch from one to the next and be making the same money. She is a realistic person.
Absolutely. I love idealism, and I love dreaming. And that's what I bring a little bit to the table. As I say, dream as big as you can dream, and then we'll make it a reality, or we'll figure out how to make it a reality. So it may not be exactly what you think it would be, but once we look at the realistic part of that, it will be a version of what you want it to be. If you've read the book, which I know you have, Kim, one of the things that we do at the very beginning is envisioning your future. And it is about dreaming as big without any restrictions, right? So where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What does that look like? Because we want you to have, this is what the whole purpose of this is not to get from one thing that you're not really enjoying to another thing. This is to get you to a place where you are enjoying your life, you're enjoying your career and your profession, which you spend a majority of your life doing, and really make the impact that you want to make. Those 3 things are the highest priority for us. And so it is about, you have to make enough money to be able to sustain that. So you do have to bring that into the picture. So it's bringing in all of those different pieces to make sure we're checking off the boxes for you to be able to, what I like to say, slay life, right? So we want to slay life in the best way that we can with the least amount of stress and the least amount of issues as possible.
Now, here's a question that's kind of on a tangent. What if you have somebody who loves being a retail pharmacist and they want to include a wellness practice within their retail pharmacy practice, maybe be an intrapreneur? Do you coach those types as well?
It depends on the retail pharmacy. So I will be honest, any of the really big box stores, I haven't really gone there. And I think there's a lot of, we'll say, red tape that would be difficult to get through. So you'd have to work within the confines of that. If you own your own pharmacy, we do work with that. So if you are an independent retail owner, then absolutely we can work with, because you are the boss. Let's put it that way. You're already the boss. So you can do a lot of the things that you would want to do. And we can absolutely work that into what you're already doing, what you've got available to you. So absolutely we can do that.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a good win too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people want to leave retail altogether, but some people say, I love it. I just want to build a wellness practice within what I'm doing. So that's wonderful. You can help with that as well.
Absolutely.
Now, I love transformation stories. Is there any way you could share a story of somebody who went from their retail pharmacy job that they wanted to leave completely and start their own wellness practice?
Okay, I've got 2. Can I share 2 with you?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you, and there are 2 that that are in the book. So if you want to go read the book, they're definitely in there in more detail. But I'll give you some information. So one of our clients was actually somebody who was actually in academia, and there were some turnovers, and there were some issues in their department, and they just were not quite happy with where they were at. And they wanted to go and become more clinical again, but they did not want to get into the more traditional roles of pharmacy. And so she came to us, and we started a health and wellness practice of her choice. And we niched her down and got to her passion was in teaching to clients, right? So from getting away from academia, but teaching to clients. And she is now, I mean, it has sprungboard her entire career now. She's gotten into some other aspects of her life. She's gotten into some politics because of it. Like all of these different things have kind of opened up her world to a much larger place while still running her wellness practice. And she's able to still be a piece of the academia because she wants to do that. So it's all the things that she's wanted to do. But I feel like this almost gave her the confidence to springboard into the things that were, or gave her, like stopped her from holding herself back. It gave her the confidence to really be able to do the things that she wanted to do. So that's one, a little bit different than the retail getting out and like you were saying, but I thought that was a really fun story. And I think that's so important to think about is that when you talk about your own passions and purpose, if you're not meeting that, it's holding you back. It is holding you back. You're just doing the things, and I hate this word, but that you should be doing. And I do air quotes because we should on ourselves a lot. And that's the number one thing that holds us back. And then the second story is actually somebody who she did a lot of retail, she was kind of her hands in a lot of different pots in pharmacy as well, and wanted to get out of that. And she had this idea of, it was around travel wellness. And she came to us and she said, I am going to join your program because I just want you to tell me that this idea is terrible, because that's what I keep hearing. She's like, I want to make sure, because if you tell me this and you do all the research and you tell me this is a terrible idea, I will take this out of my brain forever. Right. And so we loved her idea. We were like, okay, I think there's going to be an iteration of it, but I was just like gung ho over like wanting to help her create this. And I said, Eric, go and do all the research that you could possibly research. And he did. And we came back with this amazing iteration of this travel wellness idea. And still to this day, it's probably one of the best ideas on the planet. And of course, with COVID, it's put a little wrench in the travel business, but it's still so important to understand that travel wellness is different than just getting your shots that are recommended for a trip. It's about your own personal health and wellness and what's holding you back from being able to travel and do the things that you want to do in your life. And from a healthcare perspective. And I love it. So I love watching her journey, and she is still doing that and not having to go off and do anything else that wasn't a part of her passion. And so that's a really big story for me to share with everybody.
Thank you for sharing those. The first one, it sounds like teaching was just part of her brand and she just changed from one setting to another. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah. And the second one, that travel story, I want to get her on my podcast because that's just so cool. My husband used to have to travel at his former job from Ohio to Malaysia, Vietnam, Japan. I can't even remember where else he's been, Italy. When an employer sends their employees to these places, there's no counseling about shots and whatnot. They say, check with your doctor before you go. But wouldn't it be awesome if employers would consult a pharmacist who knows about this stuff? That could be really cool and profitable for her. So if you're listening, young lady, check into those employers that have international ties, because I'll tell you, my husband would love to have known even 5 things to pack. And his doctor did a good job, but I bet she could have done a more thorough individual job for him.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, like I said, this is it's an amazing spin on what we consider travel health over the years. And she's incredible. So I will definitely connect you with her. I'm not going to call her out right now because I don't know if I have that permission. So
I know all about permission. Yes,
I will absolutely share that information with you and see if she's interested. I'm sure she'll be interested to get on the podcast. So
cool. Yeah. Once travel opens back up, I'm sure that'll lead to some very interesting conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing those transformation stories. I think it's very powerful to hear that somebody else has done it successfully, mm-hmm. and anybody listening could contact you and do that with you. They could achieve some level of success as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We would love to have that conversation. We obviously do just a free consult for people that are interested. Because my purpose is, even in the consult, I like to figure out what it is that you want to do. And sometimes people think that they want to have a wellness practice, or they're seeing other people do it, so they think that's the way they should go. Again, that dreaded word "should," and it may not be what you want to do. And so we're not here to just say, hey, yes, every pharmacist needs to have their own wellness practice. It is not for everybody. It's for people that really have the desire to go off and do this, because it's your own business. So unless you're wanting to do this and wanting to work it, it's not what you should be doing. And so I will gladly tell you that and help you on that journey to say, hey, this isn't it doesn't sound like this is where you want to be. And I've had several people that I've done that, and they're so grateful for getting that information, because it's not necessarily where they wanted to be. They just felt like that's where they needed to be. So
that's an important message, and that demonstrates the value of a coach. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, right now I'm working with somebody. So I have a kind of a sidebar piece to the coaching practice, which is, I do call it the Passion to Purpose program. And it's a piece of what we do in our overall one-on-one consulting with the Impact Pharmacist. But it's prior to that, actually. It's like it is for people who are like, I know I want to get on my job in pharmacy, but I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know if I want to have a wellness practice. I don't know, and I actually am working very closely with somebody right now who was out trying to start a business and was actually miserable. And I was like, well, so doing this shouldn't make you miserable. It'll be hard. There's a difference between something being hard and something making you miserable. Right. And so that's where we're talking to her. And if she got to a place, she was like, I was talking to her, I was like, this is not what you should be doing. And it was like this light bulb moment that happened for her as we were walking through all of the kind of pieces to this that I was, coaching her on. And she was like, no, I don't want to be doing anything. I'm watching other people. I enjoy my life right now. Like, I think social media and watching other people really got to her. And she allowed that to kind of seep in. And so she was trying to do something that she really just had no interest in doing. And so now she's finally at a place where she's like, I'm enjoying my life. Like, I don't know why I tried to do something different. But I think that's really important for people to know, is you need to figure out what's right for you. Right. So we do this for our patients in our practices. Like, okay, it's individualized, customized, personalized medicine, right? It's the same thing when it's coming to your passion and your purpose and building a business, is finding out what's right for you, not what other people are doing. And that's why we do the one-on-one coaching, and we make this as personalized and customized to you as possible, because this is not about what somebody else did. This is about what you're able to do, what you want to do, what your passion and purpose in life are. That's the most important part.
Well said. That's important, because being an entrepreneur has obstacles and barriers, and sometimes they are us, and sometimes getting out of your own head is kind of difficult. And you got to think about, why did I want to do this in the first place? And you're talking about the passion. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a boss anymore. You are the boss, and you have to set the vision, and you have to walk towards it. And if you at some point don't feel like this is what you want to do anymore, it's okay to call it quits. But there's a difference between doing that and just hitting a hard spot and needing a coach to help you walk through it. If it's what you still want to do, but you hit a rough spot, there's a difference. So don't give up unless you've given it some thought, but don't go into it in the first place unless you've given it some thought as well.
Exactly. When you said that, Kim, I saw this visualization. I love visuals and analogies. And I was thinking, I used to be a runner, actually track and field in high school. And I just imagined the hurdles, right? So you got all these hurdles, and it's like, okay, if you get stopped at this hurdle, which is, it's always going to happen, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're always going to have hurdles, is what's on the other end of those 7 hurdles that are standing in front of you? Do you want to get there or not? Right. And that is where, okay, now I need a coach to help me get over those hurdles to make sure I jump high enough. But if you're at this first hurdle and you're like, I'm out. I don't even care about getting to the end. This is not where I want to be. Then that you need to take that as a sign that this isn't where you need to be. And I think a lot of us just get in our own heads of the glitter and glamour of what's coming at the end of what we're seeing other people are doing. It's not really truly where you want to be. And that's where I want to, kind of just express to people, it takes a lot of thought, and it can take a coach to get you there, right? Like, so you may not even have started a business yet, but just to even get through the glitter and the glamour of what you're seeing other people have, it's tough. It's a tough thing to do, especially on your own, because you're working full time, you're raising children, you're doing virtual schooling right now, or, all the middle millions of things that we have going on. It's hard to see through the glitter and glamour. It's just like, okay, I see that and that's what I want to be, but is it really what you want to be? Really, really dig deep.
That's real talk right there. Whew.
Oh, that could be a whole other podcast, Kim.
Yeah. Well, Medipreneurs was great for that because we're all healthcare entrepreneurs and we were all starting our own businesses or had one started, and we needed to just ignite that passion to keep us going or realize maybe this isn't for me. And I tell you, sometimes pharmacists, we take everything so literally. Everything's black and white.
Mm-hmm.
If you say you're going to do something, by golly, you're going to do it. And I'm here to tell you that if you get on a path and you realize it's not for you, it's okay to change your dreams, start dreaming yet again. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about pivoting, right? That's what life is about in general. So that should not be any different for your dreams, for your career, for, whatever it is. But, it's been such a treasure to watch you, like, from the very first time we met, and the pharmacist voice was an idea that you hadn't even really fully started, and to watch where you've come today. It's been almost 3 years, which is crazy since we met, to see your transformation. And same thing here. I had this, I had been doing things the wrong way, and had these ideas when we met, and to see how far you can come. And it's pivoted a lot. You can vouch for this. It's pivoted a lot since we met. In my dreams, I had, no idea that I was going to write a book when we met, and I've written 2. So that's just, yeah, thank you. No, I mean, it's just crazy how things can do, but that's the idea, is when you stay focused on, I want to dream, what does that look like for you, and not allowing the noise to come in, and just really be true to yourself. I mean, like I said, this could be a whole other podcast that I could go off on, and we won't do that right now, but, but it is so important to be true to yourself, and just know that whatever it is that you want to do, you have it in you to do it.
Right. I want to make one last comment on the pivoting comment before we go on to the next thing. When I first met you in 2018, it was April 2018 at the first Medipreneurs Conference. I still didn't know what the voiceover industry was. I had a company, it was called The Pharmacist Voice. I knew I wanted to narrate pharmacy continuing education journals. Is that what I do now? No, it is not at all. I couldn't find anybody to buy that. If I would have thought more about my business, if I would have gone through the process that you recommend in your book and found that target market and found out who was buying these services, I would have found out that there's not a market for it. But instead of giving up and saying, oh, I'm going to throw in the towel and I'm going to make a wellness practice now. No, that's not what I wanted to do. What I ended up doing was finding something that was similar that I also was passionate about. So I went into audiobooks and I went into voiceover. I found out that there was a voiceover industry. So I'm here to say that I am a former retail pharmacist. I did not develop a wellness practice, which is what Asha and her husband, Eric, coach people on. I have had a similar experience where I thought I had this great idea and it didn't work out. So I pivoted. So the moral of the story here is pivot and find your passion and keep going. Don't give up.
Absolutely. I could not have said that better myself. But, I never dreamt 3 years ago when we met that I would be in coaching or business consulting. Like, that was not ever anything in my brain. I always just knew that I wanted to have a wellness practice, which I did do But the pivot came a little, about a year and a half later when I started realizing that other people needed this and I was being successful at it. I wanted to be able to help share. And that's become a huge part of my passion since then. And never at the beginning did I ever think that. So I guess the moral of this story too, Kim, is never say no to any opportunities that come up to you until you really look at it and see and that actually came from this. I will tell you, I'll be honest, it came at the second Medipreneurs that we went to. Somebody asked me to become their business coach. And that's where it started. It was somebody saying, hey, I would love, do you do business coaching? I'd love for you to be my business coach, because it all came from stemming from the clinical mindset, all of those things. And I immediately said yes, because I had always thought about doing something like this, but really didn't know what that would look like. And now look what it's turned into, right? So you just really never know what may come your way. And so those pivots can always be like some of the best things that happen to you.
Well said. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. Well, as we start to wrap this up, is there anything else you'd like to share? Social media, maybe your website, how can people get coaching from you?
Sure. Yeah. So a couple different things. So you can find my website is ashapaibohannon.com. And so that's just, I'll spell it for you because not everybody knows what that is, but ASHAPAIBOHANNON.com. Everything that I do is on that website, as well as on Facebook. We do have a free it is a private group, but it's a free group called Impact Pharmacist. So you can reach us there and find us there if you want to message us. You can also send me an email at ashapaibohannon.com. And we look forward to for anybody that is interested in just learning a little bit more. Maybe you have no idea what it is that you want to do, but you are interested in kind of exploring what the other options are. Please contact me. I am more than happy to just have that free consult with you, see where you want to head with anything going on, if you're ready to kind of make the shift in your career, or if you just want to add something more to what you're already doing.
Sounds great. Asha, thank you so much for being on the Pharmacist Voice podcast again. You are my first guest that's been on twice. Always a pleasure. I hope to have you on again someday too.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Kim. It's always amazing to get to talk to you. And I appreciate everybody that's listening. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Stay healthy, stay happy, and do what you want as your passion and purpose, and make that impact in this world.
Thank you for joining me for episode 77 of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Visit thepharmacistvoice.com to subscribe and read the show notes.